Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Raw Leadership Talk. When it's Tuesday, you know it's the Raw Leadership Talk. And we'll keep it raw here with different leadership discussions. And today we are glad to feature Joshua Onyango, the principal Mombasa Aviation, as we discuss tertiary education in Kenya. Tertiary education in Kenya. Maybe we may want to broaden it to Africa. You don't know. Where are you joining us from? We'll be glad to know from you today. The Raw Leadership Talk comes to you a little bit early, 15 minutes early, because of some reasons here and there, but I want to hope that you will join us and be able to enjoy together with us. So where are you joining us from? As we listen to the water music by Handel Messiah, we'll be glad to know exactly where you are joining us from. Where are you joining us from? Any idea, any observation? Are you joining us from Nairobi? Are you joining us from Kisumu, from Mombasa, from diaspora? We'll be glad to know from you, even as we begin this broadcast today. In a moment, we will go to the discussion of the day, tertiary education in Kenya. Can we make it better? Have we failed in somewhere? Can we push it to the next level? Andrew Koech saying you're watching from Nairobi. Welcome, my brother. Thank you very much. Joshua, maybe you may want to introduce yourself to our viewers today. Welcome to Raw Leadership Talk.
Thank you, Buanadan Mugera, for inviting me and having me in this show. My name is Joshua Onyango. I am the principal at Mombasa Aviation Training Institute. It's a technical and vocational institution that we do train in different areas, and we are based in Mombasa. So I'm glad to be part of the show.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Google are saying tuned in from Albert. Welcome to the show, Alpha. Joshua, today we are looking at a transformational approach to tertiary education in Kenya. In your opinion, are we where we should be as far as tertiary education is concerned? What is your opinion?
Well, there are at least two ways of looking at it. One, the government has done a lot in terms of trying to give priority to tertiary education and vocational training in the institution. I think since 2013, there's an act that came into place that was aimed at revamping and rebranding tertiary education in the country. And it's a broad-based approach. And what you find now is that although there's a good start, but there's still a lot to be done. We are not where we are supposed to be. I'll give you an example, Dan.
Yes.
In 2020, last year, we had about 563 students who qualified to join the tertiary institutions in the country, and yet only about 88,000 were admitted. Okay, out of 563, only 88,000 were admitted into the technical and vocational training institutions in the country. That leaves about 470, more than 470,000 students or prospective students out there who did not get a chance to join the tertiary and vocational training institutions. There's also
Okay.
a number that goes to the university. So I'm not counting that. I'm counting those who qualify to join tertiary institutions. Probably for our viewers, just to put it in context, in the country we have about between 86, about 86 institutions of tertiary institutions, public ones, public tertiary institutions, about 86. So you can see there's still a lot to be done in terms of making sure that we have a reasonable transition of those who are interested to join the vocational training. And so there's still a lot to be done. The government has done quite a bit in terms of ensuring that tertiary institutions are established in the different sub-counties, but still there's a lot to be done, and we are not yet training even a third of the people we need to train to fill in the gap in this economy.
Thank you very much for that input. What is the significance of tertiary education in our nation? Is there any significance of tertiary education in our nation? Maybe for the purposes of our viewers understanding the significance of tertiary education in our nation.
Dan, you know, the development of any nation, especially the developing nations, depends largely on skilled labor. When you talk about tertiary institutions or vocational training, okay, as vocational training, we are talking about the hands-on people, what we can call watu wa mkono, all right?
Yes.
So, in terms of training, the tertiary institutions are very key in terms of imparting the skills for the workforce in this country. And we are talking about the different areas. Whether you're talking about wiremen.
Maybe you might want to give us some examples of this area of hands-on skills that are needed, maybe, so that for the purposes of our viewer to understand what really is hands-on skill. Which industry, which person? Yes. We
are talking about broad areas. We're talking about plumbers. We're talking about electricians. You know, the wiremen. We are talking about masons. We are talking about people who work in the automotive. You know, the mechanics and so on. We are talking about beauticians. You know, hairstylists. We are talking about people who work in the kitchen. In the culinary arts. And we are talking about even people who would work in the different sectors in hospitality, waiters, so these are the people we are talking about. And you know that in this country, most of the businesses need such skilled labor or workforce. Okay, whether you're talking about hospitality or construction and building, whether you're talking about even automotive, So it's very important that these people are trained and are given the adequate skills. All right. So this is different from, say, those who want to go to a university and to study there. There's a very big difference between that kind of vocational training and the training that somebody would get if you went to, say, a university. Okay, that is more broad-based, and probably it's for supervisors and managers. But the mutu wa mkono is what we are talking about. The people who will work in the kitchen, who will work as beauticians, hairstylists, those are the people we are talking about.
Yeah, I guess including people who work at the airports, and the traffic, the flight, how do you call them,
Yes, we are, even if you talk about even in the aviation industry, if you go there, there are people who work at the airport. You're talking about even housekeeping, for example, in hotels. You're talking about at the airports, so those who do the cleaning, okay?
Yes.
Of the different areas. You are talking about security, okay? You're talking about the drivers, okay, who operate there. All that is included. And so it's very important that any developing nation has this manpower to support the economy. And by the way, Dan, you will realize that in terms of the labor or the workforce in this country, those are the majority. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, including, we are talking about even the shoemaker. We are talking about the carpenter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really very, very broad.
The
And so
chefs.
those are the majority.
The chefs also comes in handy.
Yes. Yes. About the chef as well. We're talking about the waiters. The barman. If it's a restaurant. So those are the people that we deal with, and those are the people that we give the knowledge and skills. And so it's very important for the country to invest heavily in developing that workforce, especially because the young people who are coming into the job market would come in through that route and rise to become probably supervisors and managers in the future.
Gary, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about transformational approach to tertiary education. Hilary Roticha is telling me to ask you about courses available and respective qualification. Maybe you will do that at the end or towards the end to talk to the viewer about the courses in your institution and also the respective qualification for people to join Mombasa Aviation. Arthur is echoing here, saying, what was the rationale for the government to convert all polytechnics into university? Was it a good idea? And that leads me, Joshua, to the next question, which is, what is your opinion about obsession with universities' degrees in this nation? Has it done us good or bad? We seem to have gotten to a particular season of euphoria of being obsessed with university degrees, to an extent where we ended up converting even polytechnics into university in this nation. Has it done us good or bad? What's your opinion, Joshua?
I think earlier on there was this emphasis on the university education. We saw a lot of universities coming up, institutions being converted into universities. And I think they were, at that time, it looked like the government was trying to establish universities in the different areas across the country. At least every probably county would have a university or something like that. So out of that, there's this obsession, as you say, as you put it correctly, that people want to go to university. And after university, there's an assumption that after university, you get a good job, you are employed, you become, a manager or something like that. But the reality on the ground is quite different, Dan. What we have seen is that people have gone into the universities and gotten the different qualifications, and they have come out and really suffered in terms of tarmacking and trying to get a job.
Yes.
And so this obsession is misguided, if you ask me. Because if you look at it critically, we need to think holistically. Yes. It is not possible that all these university graduates that we see every year graduating are going to get jobs and placements and things like that. And sometimes you find that a lot of these graduates, when they come out, they end up doing very lowly jobs that you could say they are overqualified for. And so they go there and meet people.
Jobs, the reason why they have to do that, there are no jobs to accommodate them.
That is true, Dan. And when you go to an interview, say from the university, and you meet these other chaps from the vocational training areas who are exhibiting high level of skills, hands-on skills.
Yes.
Dan. So you tell me what happens. What happens there? Because you are applying for a job that is beneath you, so to speak, and then you find somebody who has also applied. Yes.
And you don't have the qualification for it, the skills.
Yes. So then you have this other guy who has been trained hands-on, to work as a chef, for example, and you go for this interview. Yeah, at maybe it's a hotel, and so what happens there? So there's been quite a bit of frustration there. It is not right for people, and I tell parents this all the time. It is not right to be obsessed overly about going to university. You need to look at you need to look at it from the point of view that what does the job market also require, apart from just your ambition, that I want to do this or that. What is the status of the country in terms of the uptake? Now, let me tell you something, Dan. Over the past few years, the government has, I think, shifted quite a bit in terms of now emphasizing on the tertiary institutions, the vocational training. And so we've seen a lot of establishments of new institutions right at the sub-county level, being established to train the young people. And that is out of the realization that one of the ways in which the youth in this country are going to rise up and come out of even poverty is when they are empowered with these skills, so that they improve their employability and also they improve they become self-reliant in terms of using those same skills. Because if I train somebody in culinary arts, they can start their own business. If we are even talking about agricultural skills as well, Dan. It's not just about the formal ones. We're talking about even getting skills even in agriculture, and we know, Dan, that that is one of the areas that is not yet fully exploited in this country. So what we are saying is, university education has its place, but it is not viable for everybody to go for university education. And by the way, how many students actually go into the universities? I can tell you the figures are roughly about between 80 and 90,000. So that leaves hundreds of thousands of people who will not go to the universities. So what happens to them? They need to acquire knowledge and skills that improves their likelihood of being absorbed into the job market or working for themselves. So that is the goal. Even as we train in this vocational training, we're not just looking at being employed. We are looking also at being self-reliant, setting up a private enterprise, by yourself and with a bit of capital, so that you can also improve yourself and get out of the poverty, as it were.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful information there that you're giving us. Salim Laro joining us from Nairobi saying, great conversation. Thank you very much, Salim, for joining in. Guys, if you have any question that you would like to ask Joshua in relation to tertiary education in this nation, very important for you to just post it there, and we'll be able to engage with you in this particular conversation. You're watching the Raw Leadership Talk pod by the Africa Center for Public Speaking, and today we are featuring Joshua Onyango, the principal of Mombasa Aviation, and we are discussing the transformational approach to tertiary education. Joshua, we seem to have a vocational gap in this nation. To get a good mechanic, carpenter, mason, it's really a problem in this nation. Is this because of the lack of proper tertiary education? That even maybe the tertiary education that is being offered is not up to date compared to our neighboring nations like Tanzania or Uganda?
Well, what I can say, Dan, about that is that probably our neighbors like Tanzania, they started earlier on, emphasizing. They've always been emphasizing the hands-on skills. So that is something that even when we were busy, obsessed with the universities already, they were emphasizing the hands-on skills. I'll give you an example of that. I live in Mombasa, and if I go to Majengo, in that area in there's a place called Kingorani, and those areas that have a lot of workshops, and we have a lot of mechanics. And you will be surprised how many Tanzanians work there as mechanics. In fact, there are so many there, and they work, and they are trained, by the way. They are trained. All right. Now you have even a lot of Tanzanians as well working, doing all these. They're putting on, they're working on the roofs. Okay, they're very good. If you want to do a proper ceiling and the roof, people tend to say that they're better than Kenyans. Their workmanship. is better than
Mhm.
Kenyans. Probably there's some truth in that. But what I can
Yes.
say is, yes, there has been a gap in terms of the people getting the necessary training. What you find
Yeah.
in Kenya mostly is that most of the, say, carpenters are self-taught, okay?
Yes.
Or if you go to a building site, you find the fundis, so-called fundis, are self-taught. They learn while they work and they learn. So baadaye anaambiwa yeye ni yeye sasa amehitimu amekuwa fundi, having not gone through any formal training. But now what we are saying is the opportunities for training are there now. And by the way, even for those who are in the industry, for example, you will find, if you go to the beaches, you find tour guides who have been there for many years. They've been doing it, they've been guiding tourists. They speak the foreign languages. They do a very brilliant, they'll do a very brilliant job. They're very good at it. But if they applied to get a job in any of the, say, even in government or in a hotel or whatever, they will not get them because they'll be told, do you have papers? Okay. So what is happening? Yes?
They will say you have paper and 5-year experience of working in an organization that has,
exactly. And that is the thing. So what you are saying is a lot of the people have learned it by doing it. But now tertiary institutions have come in and they are offering the training in various areas. And even now, even that person who's been doing it has an opportunity, right, to be trained, okay, and to get additional knowledge and skills so that they can better themselves and have something to show for it if they will be asked, okay? So tertiary institutions have provided a pathway even for those who are already in the workforce to come and get additional skills and to have it documented so that they can go and work. But what you pointed out, which is very true, is the fact that there seems to be a gap in terms of our workmanship, the quality of what we do. There seems to be a gap. And this is a process because, first of all, the government has to also, and the private sector has to invest heavily in making sure that the institutions of training have the right training equipment for such people so that they can get the skills that are required. So it is something that will take time and it needs a lot of investment, both by the private sector and the government.
Very important. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Daniel Musibi is saying, I like the talk on the tertiary skill which has been neglected, especially with the influx of universities and the ignorance on relevance of certain skill sets. We agree with you, Daniel Musibi. There is an overemphasis of university degrees, and we are ending up having a lot of university graduates who now are falling back again to tertiary job opportunities, yet they do not have the skills because there is a lack of opportunities for degree holders in the job market. So a balanced approach is needed to help us to move to the next level. But Joshua, as we are going towards the end of this show, maybe you may want to tell people, what does your institution offer in terms of the tertiary skills? And somebody had asked here, courses available and respective qualifications.
Well, I think, Dan, I will talk generally, not just my institution. I'll just talk to help the viewers, the courses that will be available, the different areas. And when you talk for vocational training in this country, there's you will be surprised how many areas there are opportunities to train. So whether you're talking about even entertainment, sound technicians, you're talking about camera operations, you're talking about lighting technicians, okay, you're talking about camera operators, you're talking about areas like carpentry, all right? You're talking about areas like building and construction, whether painters, the masons, all right? You're talking about electrical and electronics engineering, where you have the wiremen and all that who do installation in the buildings, and they go in different levels depending on the qualification. You are talking about areas to do with beauty, whether you're talking about people doing massage, people doing the hair, all that range is also covered. You're talking about drivers, for example, is also covered. You're talking about people who would work in the store, for example, keeping records.
Yes.
We're talking about even medical lab technicians, for example. People working in the lab, people, all that. So when you talk about vocational training, it is so wide. There is hardly any area that is not covered. And you go to these institutions, whether public or private institutions, you will find them training those different areas. It may not be all of them. You'll find some specialization. Some do others, because some of the training is capital intensive. For example, if you are to train engineers, for example, technicians, it's really capital intensive. So some of the training you find that it's just government who can really do. But what I want to tell the viewers is that vocational training covers almost all areas that you can think of. All right. So if you want to get more information, you can actually go to the government website, right, and look at the list of tertiary institutions across the country. You will find a list there with the contacts, even email, and then you can go to their websites or even make inquiries, and they will give you the different areas that they offer. Whether even dressmaking and all that, and fashion and design, all that is covered, right? So my take is this, Dan. I mean, there are so many areas that need people in this country, and even now people are talking about lack of jobs and all that. But there are jobs that come up also as every day. There are jobs that come up, all right? And they need people. One of the challenges the tertiary institutions have had is the partnership, linking up with the private sector to make sure that the people are properly trained and they meet the expectations of the private sector. And you find that sometimes if there is no partnership, then there tends to be a problem where the private sector will prefer to train their own people instead of relying on the tertiary institutions, because they'll say you're not doing a good job, so let's do it ourselves. So that partnership is important. Number two, tertiary institutions need to be in tune with the government programs to see what is the government priority. For example, now here in Mombasa, we are talking about the blue economy, all right? So tertiary institutions need to tap into that, for example, and make sure that they take advantage of the jobs available in the blue economy. And there are institutions that are already doing that here at the coast. They tap into that. So those are jobs that formerly were not there. But now it has opened up, all right? And it's very exciting. So there has to be that partnership between what the government is doing and what the tertiary institutions and the private sector are doing, so that they work together to ensure that everybody benefits.
Thank you very much, Joshua. And glad you've shared this important information today with us in this topic on transformational approach to tertiary education. And I don't know what will be your parting shot. We have 1 minute to conclude this show. We have something that you want to share even as we bring this show to a conclusion.
Yes, Dan. I think I want to encourage viewers to take time and look at the different opportunities that are coming up. We know people who are just seated at home, and probably they can be acquiring skills in one or two areas. And at the moment, we have government sponsorship as well for those who want to go to public tertiary institutions. So I think people need to take advantage of that, so that not many people are aware, but there's a lot of resource that has gone into sponsoring students in the tertiary institutions. So I think just to let the viewers know that they can take advantage of that, or if they know somebody who is in need of that training, let them take advantage of that so that they can benefit.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the Raw Leadership Talk. And today we were featuring Joshua Onyango, the principal of Mombasa Aviation. We have been talking about transformational approach to tertiary education. We want to believe that the talk today was very beneficial to you. And I believe if we have to approach leadership in a balanced way, that we need also to talk about the gap that needs to be filled as far as vocational skill is concerned in this particular nation. So much appreciation to you, Joshua, and to our viewers. Let's meet next Tuesday, same time, same place. May God bless you very much.